as a people would quietly use code to communicate with each other for fear of harm or degradation. We would approach each other and say, "Are you family?" Meaning, "Are you gay?" I'm here to tell you there will be no such whispering in this room today. It is now my great honor to turn the floor over to the Kings County District Attorney, Kenneth Thompson.
I want to just say good afternoon to everyone and to thank you, Mark, for your introduction, to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. You know, this is our very first LGBTQ Pride Month celebration in the history of this office. And so I am delighted to be here, and also because of the outstanding people that we are going to honor today. I am also very happy that the keynote speaker is a friend, Carlos Menchaca. Now, you can see from the program that Carlos is the first Mexican-American elected to public office in the entire city. And he's also the first openly gay member of the city council from Brooklyn. But what you may not know is that a few years ago when we were running, Carlos and I worked together. We knocked on doors together in the Red Hook houses. And we made our case to anyone who would open the door and listen to us. We explained why we wanted to be given a chance to serve them. And I have been working with Carlos ever since we both got elected on immigration matters, on hate crime matters, on all types of matters that affect us here in Brooklyn. But some of you, but maybe not all of you, know that on May 18, 2013, a beautiful young man named Mark Carson was walking down the street in Greenwich Village, minding his own business. He was walking down the street with a friend, and at the age of 32, Mark Carson was at the prime of his life. He had just moved to Brooklyn. He was a manager of a yogurt shop here in the city. A man who saw Mark Carson and his friend walking on the street that day began to follow them. And that man also began to taunt them, reportedly with ugly, hate-filled statements. Mark Carson and his friend tried to get away from that individual, but the man caught up to them, and he pulled out a .38 caliber revolver, and he shot Mark Carson in his face, and he killed him. Mark Carson's brother was quoted afterwards as saying, "My brother was beautiful. He was courageous. He was a foundation to my family." Now, Mark Carson deserved to live, and he deserved to live the way he wanted to live, not how others may have wanted him to live. I give you that example, but you don't even have to go to Manhattan to see other examples of hate crimes that have occurred right here in Brooklyn. And we have to admit that hate crimes occur more often than we want to talk about. We all know about what Keith Phoenix and Hakeem Scott did to those two Ecuadorian brothers who they attacked and killed as they were walking arm in arm here in Brooklyn. Now, as DA, I believe that no one should be attacked on the streets of Brooklyn because of their race or ethnicity, or because of their religion, or because of who they love or how they look. And so I intend to do something about it. And that's why I created the Hate Crimes Unit in the Brooklyn DA's office. I created that unit last year because I want to make it clear that here in Brooklyn, we will have a different standard. And that standard would be that we will not tolerate racially or biased motivated violence against anyone. But when I decided to create this unit, I had to find someone to lead it. And I could not find anyone better than Mark Fleetner. Mark became the chief of my civil rights unit in September of last year, and he is literally in charge of what I think is, if not the first, one of the very few independent hate crimes unit in any DA's office in the country. And when Akai Gurley was shot and killed late one night in the Pink Houses, it was Mark Fleetner who jumped out of his bed at 2 in the morning and rushed to the scene. When we had vicious hate-filled attacks on transgender victims in Bushwick, I stood shoulder to shoulder with Mark and Maria Hernandez Park in Bushwick to tell the world that we would not tolerate such ugly acts of violence, and that we had indicted a man for attempted murder as a hate crime. And so I can go on and talk about Mark and about how great he is as a prosecutor and as a person, but I'm sure many of you already know that. What you may not know are the folks who are helping us do this important work here in Brooklyn. And so I just want to take a moment and have those who are here from the office who work in the Civil Rights Unit to please stand so we all can acknowledge you and thank you. So I'm going to get out of your way, but I want you to know that as Brooklyn District Attorney, I'm determined to make sure that Brooklyn is a place where no one has to live in fear of violence because of who they are. And I want also to make clear that the LGBTQ community has made Brooklyn the greatest place on earth to live, and we must never forget that. And so as Brooklyn DA, I am grateful to each and every one of you. And I am determined to make sure that we march forward together, not only in Brooklyn, but in New York City. Let's create a model for the nation of how people can come from all over the world, and they can love who they want to without being attacked, without living in fear. God bless you all, and thank you.
Today we have new tools ahead of us, including the Hate Crimes Unit here at the DA's office that's shaping, again, how we're doing what we're doing. But all of this is to say is that in this new generation of public leaders, openly gay, and our LGBTQ community, we have to take that opportunity and really shake things up.
I stand here, result of our ancestors and our efforts, and I applaud and salute you in joining me with moving people like us from the margin to the mainstream. Again, thank you very much.
My name's Josh Levin, and I have the pleasure of working for the District Attorney in the Blue Zone. And I also have the pleasure of introducing Ms. Alala Zanel. Alala Zanel is the community organizer at the New York City Anti-Violence Project, widely known in the community as AVP. And AVP has, since 1980, assisted thousands of LGBTQ and HIV-affected folks from all 5 boroughs through direct client services, community organizing, and public advocacy.
I just hope in the future that you continue to put more faces like myself up here and give us opportunities, and also to AVP because they're a perfect example of leadership development.
As the Chief Executive Officer of Hetrick Martin Institute, Thomas Crever works with LGBTQ youth to find a safe haven of support.
I look forward to continuing to do the work. I recognize the privilege and access I have, and I feel deeply grateful that I can use that to provide not a voice because they already always had one, but to amplify the voice of our young people, particularly our LGBT youth of color.
She is, quite simply, a crusader for social justice wherever and whenever her voice is heard and needed. As a result, she has become an ideal role model for all our professionals. Please join us in honoring Jill Harris.
I do love to have this opportunity to speak to the young people, the young LGBTQ people who are taking these fights forward.
Daniel W. Tietz was named in May 2014 as the Chief Special Services Officer of New York City's Human Resources Administration.
Much of my work, and certainly what I do today at HRA, is focused on poor communities, low-income New Yorkers who need a great deal of support and assistance just to get by day to day. And I think that's a concern for this district attorney, and I'm very pleased to be honored in this way today.
Anyone who's spent any meaningful time with Mr. Burrows knows that his passion and commitment remain fierce and that his work is far from done. So at this time, I'd ask you to join me in honoring Thomas Burrows.
One thing I encourage you to do is think about becoming judges, because we need LGBT judges in Brooklyn.
I think maybe LGBT people are uniquely qualified to be in a courtroom and to make decisions on how it is that justice shall come about.
Today, she is an accomplished singer, a tremendous orator, a very, very strong advocate and ally of the LGBT community, and my little sister. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Ayanna Gregory.
What am I waiting for? I think I'm ready. Forget what they told me. See, this world can't hold me. And you know that you want more. What are you waiting for? See, I know you're ready now. Forget what they told you, yes. World can't hold you now. Thank you.